Of course, it's Felice. Just came out of a great win at UFC Oklahoma State. Sorry, we're laughing because, as most of you know, we don't start taping right away, and we always Felice and I have the weirdest conversations beforehand before we get in here.
I
It's
know.
actually
It's great. He called me. He's like, "You ready to go?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, then the internet stops working. He calls me back five times. He calls me back, and I'm like, "Gosh, crazy ex-boyfriend, psycho stalker, big trick."
I screw up my internet on purpose whenever I work with Felice, so that way I have to call her back 100 times, and that way I don't get sued for stalking. It's just how it works.
Yeah. He's like, I'm like, I don't know if it's my internet or yours. He's like, it's mine. Always blame me. I'm like, I do 100%. Like, I will never take fault.
Well, you look great. Coming out of a fight, no broken bones, at least on your face. I saw a post. Yeah, nothing, right?
The one mark I have is this stupid mat burn on my knee, and it's so disappointing because that could have come anywhere.
Yeah. Speaking of ex-boyfriends, how's that? No, they're anybody showing Oklahoma City?
My mom's in the garden.
Even better. I mean, there a lot of things came out of your fight. One is, for me, it's been your 2-year progression because I've been watching you really hard for 2 years, and you've had a huge amount of success athletically. But then for a while, you had a little hiccup. Like you just weren't fighting right. Things just weren't going right. You went and got your levels checked, what we talked about on a different interview. Yeah. Now it seems like everything's kind of firing on all cylinders. Is it just getting your chemicals balanced? Is all the real difference that you needed?
I mean, it appears to be so. I don't know if it's just that. I think that I was doing so many things wrong for so many years, and I was stubborn, and I had a lot of eating disorders, and because of that, I thought the only way to make weight was by starving myself. So even after I would weigh in, I wasn't thinking about rehydrating, recarbo loading. I was like, oh, I've been eating such little amounts before my fight, this whole camp. I don't want to eat too much and shock my body and feel heavy in the fight. So I would eat very little after weigh-ins too. So I think that hitting rock bottom and having a horrible performance to where I physically couldn't move, and then getting my levels checked, I think it's a combination of everything. It's about releasing, letting go of my old superstitions, my old, habits, ways of doing things that were unhealthy, and finding a way to come back, be balanced, and do things the right way, the healthy way, from an athletic standpoint of, hey, I'm gonna rehydrate, I'm gonna refuel, I'm gonna eat for energy. Now I eat for energy, and I eat a shit ton more than I used to.
Yeah, I mean, Jill and I follow all your social networks, and it's actually it's actually inspiring to other female athletes out there because we and this is the reason why we've talked before. I hate women's MMA. I don't like women's MMA. It's not that I don't like women competitors. I don't like the way the media portrays women. If you're not super hot and super in shape, then you're not really going to be that great of a champion. And that's all BS. It's complete bullshit. Because now as a ref, when I go out there and I ref, I don't look at you as a female or male. I look at you as a competitor. I got all the rules are the same. There's no difference, male or female. It's all the damn same. So I have to figure it out. Are you in danger? Is the fight over? Are you winning or you're not? The whole game gets played. Media doesn't do that yet. And so as a result, you putting out there, hey, this is how much I eat, but still look what my body is doing while I'm eating this much, is inspirational to other female athletes that are coming up. Is that something that's in the back of your head? You're like, hey, I'm inspiring other athletes that are coming through, or is that just a side effect of what you try to do for yourself?
You broke up a little bit, so I'm going to piece together what I think you said. Or maybe just repeat it.
You are super inspiring to a lot of these other women because of the way you eat now. Is that something that in the back of your head you're like, I want to be a role model, I really want to embrace that role, or is that just a side effect of the fact that you're doing so much better as a result, everybody else sees that you're doing so much better?
First, what we do for ourselves, but it's nice to have the trickle effect. And I obviously am very vocal, and I do post things because I do realize, especially over the years, how much, when you're in the public eye, that people look up to you and they're watching you and they're following every move. So I do like to show women, hey, you don't Like, you don't have to starve yourself. You don't have to be, shoot, the connection. The
Yeah, it's all right.
connection just keeps going off. Um, like I said, it is a trickle effect, but I keep that in mind, like when I post, because I know that people are watching, and I really don't want other women to have to go through what I went through. I don't want women to think that they have to have eating disorders, and also like I eat, as much as I do, and I eat for energy, and I do look the way that I do. So it's actually, I look better now
Mm-hmm.
that I don't deprive myself than I do when I did deprive myself. But again, like, it's because I actually stopped focusing on the aesthetics of it and the weight, the number, and started eating for energy and for my sport. Like, hey, I burn a lot of calories doing what I do. So I need to put in a lot of calories so that I have energy to keep doing what I do. And I hope that I inspire women, and I hope that women are watching and they're taking note. You know, you lead by example. I'm doing what I do, but because I'm in the public eye, I know that people are watching me.
Now, you said afterwards, after your fight, that you feel like you're being disrespected a little bit by the UFC. Can you explain that a little bit? How do you feel like you're being disrespected?
Well, if you take a look at my last few fights, like this last fight, obviously it was obvious that it was going to be a high profile, like a really great fight. It was right before the co-main event, but it got zero publicity,
Yeah.
zero marketing whatsoever. And the funny thing is, before it was like, oh, when I was fighting these hot girl fights, they got all the marketing, all the publicity, all the promotion, but yet it wasn't me they were marketing, and it wasn't the fight they were marketing. They were marketing my opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've been a stepping stone. Like when I fought Kylan Curran, it's frustrating because she was on a 2-fight. She was 1-2 in the UFC, and
Yeah.
renegotiated her contract. She got paid the same amount of me to lose that fight as I did to win that fight. Okay, so that's number one. Then
Yeah.
number two, all the marketing, all the promotion was like the highlights and stuff were all of her looking like this beast and like showing me like mentally weak because I had, the last performance,
Right.
the performance that I did before that, and was trying to come back and work on myself. But they portrayed me in a sense that was like I was favored to lose. Then
Mm-hmm.
I come back, then I beat her in a dominating fashion. I thought maybe the tides would turn a little bit. No. Then I fight Alexa Grasso. They're trying to tap into this Mexican market,
Yeah.
and they're flying her out to do all these like mainstream things. Like she's going to all these like these like all these these games and just doing like 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 sports games, sports events, like doing all this mainstream stuff. Here, they're marketing the fight because they're marketing her, and I'm the
Yeah.
stepping stone for her to lose. We're co-main event. I got zero love, zero attention. What you want me to do? These small rinky-dink interviews. And then I beat her, and I thought maybe the tides would turn again. And no, I'm trying. The
Yeah.
UFC is not even flying me out to UFC to Fight Week, International Fight Week. If I want to go to International Fight Week, I'm going to go on my own dime. And that is sad because I'm on a 3-fight win streak. And you know what? My last 2 fights have been against undefeated girls.
Yeah.
Top, like, good ass girls. And it's not just me. I'm not just speaking on my behalf. I'm speaking on behalf of so many fighters feel this way. So many fighters. You have like a Sage Northcutt that comes out. What? He does a backflip after one fight, and he's getting paid all this money for what? And meanwhile, you have Max Holloway, who went on like an 11-fight win streak,
Yeah.
and is still trying to get love. He was
Yeah.
dominated, cleaned house, finished top 10 prospects, not getting love, not getting attention. And I'm not speaking just on my behalf. I'm speaking out for all the UFC fighters who feel the same way that I do, and so many of them feel the same way I do. If we could get if there's so many people, if they were given the chance to shine, they would. But they don't have the business behind them. They don't have the machine behind them. And
Yeah.
it's a shame. It's really a shame,
They're
They want to get behind the flashes in the pan.
it's interesting to hear you talk about how you feel like you're disrespected. When we talk to most fighters, they're like, I'm not making enough money, is the first thing that comes out of their mouth. The first thing that comes out of your mouth, they're not marketing me enough. Like, I'm doing everything I can do, but I'm not getting marketed. That one time, that entire, I think it was 4.5 minutes that you talked, there was not one mention of cash. Not one mention. And that's an interesting take that most fighters are not taking right now. The first thing they say is, hey, you pay me more, I'll feel respected if you give me more money. But all you're saying is, if I'm going to fight, make me part of the program. If you're technically in a slot that you fought this last weekend was what's considered the swing bout. In the very beginning, this is for the folks at home, very beginning of pay-per-view days, this would be the one fight that might have made pay-per-view and might not have made pay-per-view because of the timing that was worked out. Now the UFC, because they're so good, all the fights get in there. But you have the main event, the co-main event, and then the swing bout is technically the fight before that. That's where Felice fought this last weekend. It's a huge spot. It's a big slot. It's the fight that's going to warm you up to get ready for, oh crap, this is what the whole card is about. Obviously, we saw that with Boch and Hendricks, and then with the controversy with Chiesa and Lee. So you're looking at, Felice is talking about a legit gripe. It's a legit problem. If you're in these top 3 spots, hell, if you're in the main event, the top 5 spots, why are they not promoting you? Why are you not being flown out these big things? You live in Chicago. If I remember correctly, the Chicago Cubs won the World Series last year. You're right down the street from there. Why wouldn't you be throwing out the first pitch at one of the games? Even if it's just a preseason game, they should have you out there doing stuff.
And I've asked to go to sports events. I've asked to be more on board. I've asked to do these things. And I'm told that, yeah, we'll get on it. And nobody's ever gotten on it. And it's sad because it's like, I get it. I've shied away from the media during fight camp. Yeah. Just during fight camp. And you know why? Because it takes away from the fight. It takes away from me being able to go out there and do my job and to go and win fights, which I've shown that I've just got. My last 3 performances, how many women in the straw? I get it. It's not like a huge deal to win 3 fights in a row, but in the strawweight division, it actually is.
Yeah.
And all my 3 last performances have been dominating wins.
Yeah.
Girls, and I've been the underdog every single time. And yeah, I've asked to do so much, and it's like I don't think it's a lot to ask. It's like the youth is like they don't see how good I am with fans. There's a reason that I have sponsors that I've been with for 7 years, and I go to all these events and all these promotions and all these autograph signings, and I'm good with fans, and I feel like I'm not given the opportunity to shine. And you know what? It's not even just me. So many fighters if they were just given the opportunity to shine, they would. And there's so many fighters who paid their dues and just need a little recognition and a little bit of push. And for me, it's not even about the money, because the money comes when, if you're being put on these mainstream things, it's like people, like the media, people are, not to be rude, but people are kind of idiots. They believe whatever they see. It's all about brand recognition. If they see you here, there, mainstream, they're just they believe it. Like you're amazing, you're an amazing fighter, and there's a reason that there's fighters that have been pushed, and I don't know why certain fighters are being pushed more than others, and people think they're amazing, and it's like, but they're really not that amazing. They're just another UFC fighter.
I have that argument actually quite often, especially with a couple of fights that are coming up of how good this guy is or this girl is versus this guy or this girl. And you're like, I don't know what you're paying attention to, but this is not a good fight. Like it's a fight made because the fans think they want to see it, but when the fight actually happens, it's going to be garbage. And this is just what's going to happen. And you watch these fights, and the fans are like, oh, this fight's going to be great. This fight's going to be great. And then you talk to them 30 seconds after the fight is over. So what did you think of the fight? Well, man, that fight really sucked. It was really like, well, yes, because one of the guys sucked, and the other guy was mediocre. But you guys think both these guys are great. That's not how it works. It's just not the gameplay. It is a little bit frustrating trying to talk to all the new fans, but it is a result too that part of it is getting yourself out there. And like you said, you do a great job talking with fans outside of camp. Once you start training camp, you kind of go on a media blackout, and I feel like the UFC is punishing you for I'm not doing that much media. I'm only doing the mainstream ones. I'm doing the ones I absolutely have to. and that's all I'm doing during fight camp, and that's just how I do my fights. During fight camp, I don't do that many interviews, and that's just how I am. Right after, before training camp, like right when you make the announcement of the fight, I'll do a bunch that week, and then I'm done until the day after the fight. That's just how it is.
But at the same time, I might do a little more if I was offered ones that were going to benefit me as, not, I want to say as, like, benefit my brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the ones that are, I'm not going to do stuff that's going to tax my body and cause stress and anxiety and maybe make me lose focus on the main goal, because really, like, you can't be denied. Like, the more you go and you fight and you win, you can't be denied. And I don't think it's selfish of me to make my main focus the fight. That is my main focus. And I see so many fighters that they're promoting and they're building up in between fights. Why can't I be one of them? I get asked to do nothing. And it's weird because I have a really huge following.
Yeah,
and I'm really good with fans. And so I really don't understand it.
It is a little strange. But I want to shift topics for a second. Well, depending on how long you want to talk about it. Kitch comes out after the fight's over. You know, they obviously discover that she lost control during the fight. Did you notice it?
Going there.
Did you notice it during the fight, or did you not even notice it? Because I watched the fight live. Now, mind you, I'm at home on my couch with a scotch in my hand watching this fight. I'm not paying complete attention to it, so I completely missed it. They brought it up later. I didn't see it till the next day when people started making a note. You know, all the internet started blowing up with it, making a note about it. Otherwise, I would have totally missed the whole thing. Did you notice it during the fight?
This is a hard topic for me to talk about because if it was me, I would be super embarrassed and I would want to crawl under a rock. And I would hope that people
I was not going to talk about it, but then I saw Kitch's response to it, and she's like, "Hey, shit happens. Like, I'm sorry, this is what happened." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so she's okay with it, so I can talk to Felice about it." But believe me, if the roles reversed, I wouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah, no, she's a great sport, and she's making light of the situation, but at the same time, how much, like, I would still, it's still, like, there's no way that in her mind she's not, like, devastated about it. And I didn't, like, you know, when you're in the fight, you're in the zone.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's up, what's going on. I didn't really know until after the fight was over.
Okay, fair enough.
You know? Yeah.
And so just from a technical standpoint, if and the referee missed it as well. So just so everybody understands at home, the referee didn't notice it happened either, because if the referee did notice that it happened, the fight is over. If you cannot control your body in that fashion, whether it's coming out of your mouth or coming out of your butt, fight is done. So the fight would have been finished at that point anyway, if the referee had noticed it. So it was so because of everyone's got HD at home and they've got Zoom capabilities on their TVs now, they're able to find stuff that no one else sees, even in the fight. So
I think that's the thing that people don't realize is that that's something that legit, like, happens. Like, and Justine is so tough. Like, she even said before in previous interviews that, like, her favorite submission is not tapping out. I mean, it's kind of dumb if you really think about it, but at the same time, she's just so tough that, like, she will let somebody, like, make her go out cold before she taps. And she pretty much did, because I think for a second she had to be out. Even afterwards, the ref talked to me. He's like, she was, like, blue and purple, and I'm thinking, well, why did you stop the fight?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, it's good. It's kind of good to have that, because fighters are out there and we want to fight. Yeah. We want to fight to the end. We want to fight to the death. We want to make it to where I am. I'm, no matter what, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight it out. And she did. And it sucks because I really wanted the submission.
Yeah.
But she was a hard girl to finish, for sure.
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes she battled to get out of that thing. So it was really difficult, and she held on. And, you know, and then of course we saw at the end with Kiesa and Lee that the ref stopped it too soon. I mean, it was the right call to be made, but it just was a little bit too quick to make it happen. But, you know, it's the fight game. It's how things happen. So
And everything happens so quickly that it's like, I get it. Like the refs, like they're not like they're making these judgment calls, and we think like, oh, it's too soon. But at the same time, they really only have seconds, split seconds, to make judgment calls and to make decisions. And sometimes it is too soon. Sometimes it's a little too late. But at the same time, you give the fighter the benefit of the doubt that they want to be in there and they want to be fighting. And I guess that's why that fight probably was stopped just a little prematurely.
So what's next for you? Not opponents. I know you don't like calling out opponents. You want whoever's going to be in front of you. What are you going to be doing next to get the ranking moved up a little bit higher now?
You know what? As far as the rankings go, they actually don't really mean that a whole lot, because it kind of goes back to like the whole lopsided promotional thing. It's like Justine Kitch was one of the toughest fighters I've ever fought. It's not going to move me up in the rankings. Maybe it's going to give me a little street cred, but she was a tougher fight than Grasso, and Grasso was ranked, and Justine wasn't. So do the rankings really matter? No, they really don't. It's a shame that I keep getting I fought Grasso and beat her, and you would think I would move up in the rankings, and I didn't. And I beat Justine, who wasn't ranked, so I'm probably not going to move up in the rankings either.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like, I don't really. I can't. If there was a definite ranking system that was accurate and true, I could have a definite path of where I'm going from here. But because it's so inconsistent and so lopsided, and it's so in favoritism of who they're trying to promote and what fights they're trying to promote, I have no idea where I'm going from here. I have no idea.
Okay, last thing before I let you out of here. How hard was it for you backstage not to be jumping up and down as Carla was fighting?
Okay, see, people think that, oh my God, like, oh, are you happy to be fighting on the same fight card? No. Absolutely not. I don't want to fight on the same fight card as anyone that I'm going to have an emotional attachment with, because it takes away from the whole focus is, okay, we're fighters. We have to be selfish. We're supposed to be selfish, because being selfish is what keeps your mind focused and keeps you non-emotional. And I was sitting in the locker room. Not only I was in her opponent's locker room. Okay.
Oh.
So I was in her opponent's locker room, and then I have to watch her warm up, and then I have to be watching her backstage, and I'm like, and my coach he's like, Felice, he's like, snap out. Like, he didn't realize it was the emotional attachment behind Carla's fight, but he's like, you look like you don't want to be here. He's like, I need you to snap out of this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I didn't want to be there. I just had to get past focusing on, I can't not watch Carla's fight. It's on this big screen in the back in the locker room, and I love Carla, and she's my best friend. So of course I care about her well-being. Of course I care if she does well. Of course, I want her to succeed. So there's an emotional attachment no matter what. If I completely disregard my emotional attachment, then I'm a robot.
Right.
I can't do that. I'm a very passionate person. I love the people that I love. I care about the people that I care about, and that's that. So after she fought and after she won, that was my time to reset.
Yeah.
And focus. Then I was focused on my fight.
Well, at least you had 5 fights to get warmed up and get moving at that point.
Absolutely. I'm glad. Imagine if she was right before me. I honestly would have been turn the TV off. I wouldn't have watched.
But now all you're doing is listen to the crowd roar from underneath, and you're like, okay, was that crowd roar for Carla? Or was that a crowd roar for Moraes? Who was it roaring for? Now you get that whole other game. Because I've been there before too. Exactly. It's a difficult task. It is super hard, but it worked out. Everything looked great.
I know. Well, she even said to me on the flip side afterwards, she was like, I'm so glad I got to fight before you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you lucky bitch.
Yep, I totally understand it. So, hey, thanks for staying by your mom's house to get this interview done. I really appreciate it. I know you want to get home and get yourself squared away. It's and we still have our superstition. I will 100% hit up Brian before every single fight, knowing for sure I'm going to be denied, to know I'm going to get it right after the fight, and that's I'm okay with that.
Do people know that I'm super I try to get rid of a lot of superstitions, but there's some that I'm like, Well, I'm not gonna like go against every grain in my
Yeah.
body that I'm like, every time I've done an interview with Frank Trigg, I've lost.
Yep.
But every time I do one afterwards, I've won.
Yeah. That's just how we do it. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I've accepted that I'm your good luck charm, but later.
Yeah. I told Brian, my manager, I'm like, he knows it's not personal, right? He knows, like, I love him to death, but I'm not going to do an interview before my fight with him because I'm going to lose. And it might not even be like that. I could do an interview with you before and then win, and then it's all flipped. But I'm not just taking that chances. Yeah. I stack the cards in my favor.
I'm not mad at all.
You're not my lucky ace.
I'm totally okay with it. I'm totally fine. I have a couple other fighters too the same way. That there's like, hey man, like I had a big fight. I did one with you. I lost. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and wait till after. Okay, but I'm gonna call because that's how our rhythm goes. I reach out to Brian. Brian says, yeah, I'll ask her. He gets and I hit him again. Hey, does she ever respond? And then he'll like send me like a smiley face. I go, hey, does she ever respond? He'll send me a smiley face, and I won't talk to him again. And then day after the fight, he's like, so where are you? Are you ready to go? Like she's ready to go now. I'm like, yep, okay, ready to go.
Now he's gonna start sending you a unicorn or that one.
Yeah, I've got that one from him before on different stuff.
I believe it. I believe you've gotten that one from a lot of people.
Yeah, more than I want to admit. Let's be honest. All right, Felice. We'll talk again soon. Have a great rest of your day, man. Enjoy this victory. It was a great job, a great fight camp. Everything showed up properly, and it was actually amazing to watch you fight that night.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye, Frank.